It's a very good morning to you. You're watching Ireland AM. It's Sunday and it's the 20th of August.
Coming up this morning, we'll take a look at the stories making the front pages. And here we go again, including the latest on the Ryan Tubridy RTE saga. This is the sequel, the trilogy, the prequel.
This is going to run for another while.
We're covering all bases again.
In sport, we'll cross over live to Budapest for the latest from the World Athletics Championships, and we'll look back at a memorable 100th cap for Keith Earls at the Aviva.
Now, a recent study has shown that female participation in sport starts to plummet early, with just 7% of girls aged 14 to 15 meeting the recommended physical activity levels. We'll be chatting about the barriers facing young girls in sport later.
And do you have an adult child still living at home, or are you a young adult who can't afford to leave home? We'll be chatting about the psychological effects this has on the whole family, as well as what you can do to make it work.
This actually surprised me, the older people are leaving home at.
Oh, it's like into their 30s.
Yeah.
Still there. Like Jesus.
Back in the day,
he was there till 33.
Listen, just like Jesus. You're not doing anything wrong then.
So you're all right.
And we'll be joined by the author whose kids, Martin, they wouldn't dare argue with him. If they did, he'd put it in one of their books. Yes.
Yeah, you don't mess with this boy.
No. Booker Prize nominee Sebastian Barry will be here live.
Now, Katya is braving the elements. She's outside today getting a lesson in foraging.
Oh, what?
I am indeed. Good morning, guys. I'm joined by Jonathan Keane from the Lodge at Ashford Castle, and he's going to be giving us his top foraging tips and letting us know what we can make using our forage finds. Jonathan, welcome. I see a couple of mushrooms and berries that I don't recognise. What are we looking forward to later?
Good morning, Katja. So we're going to go through some wild foods, seasonal wild foods, mushrooms, berries, plants, how to forage them and what's safe to do with them and recipes for them.
Lovely stuff. Well, looking forward to that, guys. That is coming up later. But for now, let's check on the news you're waking up to with Cliodhna Russell.
Thanks, Katja. Good morning. A number of homes remain without electricity this morning after Storm Betty on Friday night. The storm left around 70,000 customers without supply, but most were reconnected yesterday. Strong winds and rain caused damage to the ESB network. Work is continuing on reconnecting power to the remaining customers, with electricity to be restored to all homes and businesses by midday today. A man in his 20s has died after a collision involving two e-scooters and a car in Dundalk yesterday evening. The man was pronounced dead at the scene. Another man in his 20s was taken to Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital in Drogheda with serious injuries, while a third man in his 20s was treated at the scene. Gardaí are appealing for any witnesses to the collision on the Armagh Road to contact them. 15 children are among the 144 injured in yesterday's Russian missile attack on the Ukrainian city of Chernihiv. 7 people, including a 6-year-old child, died when a theatre area in the city centre was struck. The attack came as Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky visited Sweden to ask for fighter jets to boost its air defences. A powerful tropical storm is set to hit Southern California in the US today, which could bring as much as 1 year's rainfall in one day. The storm, which began as a hurricane, is also battering parts of Mexico as it approaches.
Hurricane Hilary has been building for a number of days and is due to hit Southern California today. It could potentially drop a year's worth of rain in parts of California, Nevada and Arizona. Hilary looks set to hit Mexico's Baja California Peninsula first and then hit Southern California later as a tropical storm. If Hilary makes landfall as a tropical storm in California, it would be the first in 84 years and is being described as an unprecedented extreme weather event for the area. The impact of the severe storm on the usually dry region brings a high risk of severe floods and mudslides as well as structural damage. Officials in Los Angeles have opened an emergency response centre and say they are ready for the weather, as the first ever tropical storm warning has been issued for California. They have been urgently building flood defences and updating alert systems, with this storm expected to last for a number of days. Marie Mulcahy, Virgin Media News.
US President Joe Biden and the First Lady Jill Biden are due to travel to Hawaii to see firsthand the devastation caused by last week's wildfire. A search for the remains of those still missing is continuing.
As rescuers continue to comb through the wreckage, focus now turns to rebuilding. US President Joe Biden is due to assess the damage on the Hawaiian island of Maui tomorrow. It comes after the head of the state's emergency fund warned it does not have the ability to pay for the initial response in Hawaii. The community there are appealing for any reconstruction process to be done respectively.
The fire occurred only 10 days ago, and many people are still in shock and mourning. The governor should not rush to rebuild the community without first giving people time to heal.
There are fears too that if insurance payouts and government assistance doesn't come fast enough, Maui residents may accept offers from developers, which could threaten the survival of the already damaged community of Lahaina. Mairead Cleary, Virgin Media News.
Now let's check on your Sunday paper, starting with the front page of the Sunday Independent. Backhurst wanted excuse to pull out of deal, says Tubridy. The paper details how Ryan Tubridy's team believe RTE was looking for a reason to terminate the plan to bring him back to the broadcaster in September, and that nothing in his statement justified the decision to end his RTE career.
On the front of the Business Post this morning, RTE braces for legal action over Backhurst's reforms. The paper goes on to say that RTE is moving to insulate the organisation against any legal action that could be brought by staff named in ongoing probes.
The Sunday Times leads with bailout cost for RTE unknown, says Varadkar. The Taoiseach said last night the government has yet to receive a bailout figure from RTE as Catherine Martin, the media minister, came under licence criticism for her handling of the crisis.
On to the tabloids now, and the Irish Mail on Sunday leads with RTE won't chase Tubridy for $150,000 payment. The story details RTE will not chase ex-presenter Ryan Tubridy for the $150,000 he offered to repay as part of the initial deal for him to return to the station.
The Sunday World leads with Loch horror. The story details how notorious Tiger kidnap boss and cab target Stephen Saunders has undergone a career change as his wife has set up a locksmith business.
The Sun on Sunday reads, Dolores €5 million will for kids. Cranberries rocker Dolores O'Riordan left a €5 million cash pile in her will.
The Irish Sunday Mirror leads with fright of her leaf. The paper goes on to say a 94-year-old woman had a miracle escape when a giant tree crashed into her Dublin home, narrowly missing her bedroom.
All right, up next, from Ryan Tubridy to Storm Betty, we'll be chatting through the top stories making today's papers. We're back with you in a few minutes. Back. Ryan Tubridy's team have claimed that RTE were looking for a reason to pull out of a deal to get him back on air.
Joining us with that and all the other big stories making today's papers are Claire Ronan, presenter of Up and Running at Ocean FM, and political reporter with the Irish Times, Jack Horgan-Jones. Good morning to the both of you.
Morning.
Ryan Tubridy, we joked, the story, it's more and more
like Star
and
Wars.
more. Do you think it's fair to say that maybe Ryan Tubridy is feeling, Claire, a little hard done by right now?
Oh, I would say absolutely. In his head, he feels very hard done by. And I think, you know, actually him going through the Public Accounts Committee where he was grilled for a number of days and by a number of different people. In my opinion, I think that there is no doubt this is really having an effect on Ryan Tubridy's mental health. There is no way he's going to be the same person at the end of this process than he was at the beginning. The one thing I will say is, though, he is a communications expert. And as that, his statement on Wednesday was ill-advised. Everyone was blaming his advisors, but surely he could see himself that what he was doing was somewhat misloyal, somewhat. But what amazes me is why didn't they discuss, himself and Kevin Bankhurst, who seems to have discussed everything, how they were going to handle this with the media? So I'm sure at some level he must have known that putting out this statement was going to sully RTE a little. You know, and it seems to be that and the leaking to the press that were the sword he fell on.
Jack, do you think he has a point? Ryan Tubridy has a point?
He has a point to a point. I mean, look, we now have several reports in our receipt, and there's more coming down the tracks, none of which actually kind of have a firing offence in there for Ryan Tubridy. But I think once you put that to one side and you say there needed to be a repair job done on the trust between the presenter and the broadcaster RTE, and there needed to be a commitment to a kind of base level of facts, an agreed set of facts, and we rebuild from there. One of which was that they signed up to what the Grant Thornton report said and to the restated figures and all the rest of it. And that's why when his statement came out on Wednesday, which effectively looked to kind of have a little dig back and say, you know, I was right in the end, it indicated that that base level of trust wasn't there. And I think that's where the problem started to begin to spiral out of control. And I think it indicated that, notwithstanding the kind of extensive talks that had been ongoing back and forth between Tubridy's camp and RTE in recent weeks, that the problem was never going to go away. It was always going to be this sore point between them, even if he came back on air. And I think that that kind of combined with the fact that there wasn't universal support within RTE for him coming back. And talking to people during the week when I was reporting on this, they were saying very much it's 50-50. And even within RTE Radio 1, the part of the broadcaster where he worked, there were people, and very senior people, all the way up to board level, who thought it wasn't a good idea that he would come back. So it was always finally in the balance, even though they were making progress towards it. And then this, at the 11th hour, just tipped the scale against them. And even though it looked like the ink was nearly dry on a deal to bring him back, it fell apart at the last minute.
OK, so bearing in mind what you've just said, Ryan's team's claims, and by the way, I'm represented by NK Management, so I have to point that out too, but Ryan's claims that it looks as if they were looking for an excuse kind of comes to the fore there.
It does, doesn't it?
I mean, it does a bit, like an excuse. I mean, one man's excuse is another man's fine margin. You know, it comes back to what I was saying. When it is a game of small margins and small differences, something can just tip the scales against you. I mean, clearly there are people in RTE who didn't want him back, but clearly there are people in RTE who did want him back. And I think that it should be noted that there were significant parts of the deal to bring him back had been tied down. So I don't think it would be fair to suggest that, you know, they were negotiating or engaging in bad faith and never wanted him back. They'd agreed the salary. Yeah. They'd agreed the new podcast. It looked like it was agreed that he was going to have to give the €150,000 back, and they'd agreed the hours that would bring him out of the top 10 earners into the middle of the pack in terms of, you know, hours pay per hour broadcast. So it all looked like the final parts were falling into place, only for it to, as I say, fall apart at the last minute. And it looks like there's no way back now, even though people are saying the door isn't fully closed.
Still talking about RTE and the funding. That's a major issue right now.
That is a major issue. And also another major issue is the money that he brings in to RTE. But one thing, and Martin, you'll understand, both of you will understand, the JNLRs are the listenership figures for every radio station, and it just so happened they came out on Thursday. I thought this was really interesting. He didn't lose any listeners in the last 3 months. He had Oliver Callan presenting in his place, and that speaks volumes. Now, Morning Ireland is the show before this. Before his show, they have the biggest listenership in the country, but they lost, I think it was something like 1,000 listeners, which could have happened for any reason. So nobody is irreplaceable. And in this situation, I think Ryan should have just done the deal, kept quiet, and come back, and that seems to be what he wanted.
It's in keeping with the general effect that RTE have seen, where the audience, notwithstanding the controversy, the audience has kind of stayed in terms of the people who are turning on the telly and listening to the radio every morning, and that means means the commercial side of it has actually held up, because advertisers don't really care. So long as the ears and the eyeballs are there, they're going to pay to access them. Where it has fallen down, and I think this is where it becomes a budgetary question, is the licence fee. We know it's collapsed, something like €4.7 million from the start of July, lower than it was this time last year. That's not a blip, that's a trend, and that's a problem now for the government, because they're going to be looking towards October's budget and figuring out how exactly do you help RTE keep the wolf from the door, but also make sure that you're not throwing good money after bad.
And the most important word in this is trust. And Kevin Bankhurst used it himself. I think they've lost the public's trust. And I think coming towards the budget, when they go in with their begging bowl, I think with the public, that will not go down too well. They keep talking about the flip-flops and the various different jaunts that were held. And I think
junkets,
it's a very big story, not just with Ryan, but as you said, with the budgeting in RTE.
OK, let's talk about the budget. That's only a couple of months away.
2 months away.
Yeah, 2 months away. So there's a bit of kite flying going on. Would that be fair to say?
Kite flying, it happens earlier every single year. Look, it's back to the future in to a certain extent, because it's back to the return of the banks that we talked about from 2008 to 2016 non-stop are front and centre again. And it's all because interest rates are going up, and that means that people's mortgages are getting more expensive, but it also means that people are looking at what kind of returns returns they're getting from the funds they have on deposit in banks, and those returns aren't great. So there's a lot of political pressure on the banks to improve things for depositors and not to hit mortgage borrowers too hard. And it comes back to, again, a recession-era thing. We all remember the bank levy, the charge that was imposed on the banks because they weren't going to pay any corporation tax because they had such big warehouse losses from the recession. So that was due to expire this year. The government has already indicated that it's going to extend it. The question is, what's the shape and size of that extension? Who's going to target? How much are they going to try and raise? And also, is there going to be any relief in the budget for people who are particularly hard-pressed on the mortgage side by those increases in interest rates?
Well, it's not only the three banks that have been affected mostly by the bank levy. They're looking to extend it
to the vulture funds, which I think would be a very popular decision. Also, they will report profits of the three banks, 4 billion this year. 4 billion.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you're talking to people on the street in the west of Ireland, they're saying, my mortgage has gone up €400, my shopping has gone up this amount, I haven't been outside socialising for months. The ordinary, everyday person on the street is their weekly income has gone down sometimes with over COVID and the reduction in salaries, and their outgoings have gone out off the Richter.
Yeah. And by the way, that profit, that bank profit is higher than the Celtic Tiger.
It is.
So yeah.
And Martin, you know, when you saw the people queuing outside Bank of Ireland to take out their money, a lot of those people, and I spoke to some of them, were desperate. And they were like, well, this is my way of getting an interest-free loan because they can't charge us interest and they're looking for the money back. But they're going to still charge you high bank charges, and look at what they did.
Yeah,
an IT glitch.
What they did. Thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Emil.
Thank you.
It was a fantastic night on the track for Ireland at the Athletics World Championships. We'll be discussing all the big sports stories after the break.
You're very welcome back to Ireland AM. Now, with skyrocketing grocery prices, we're all trying to be a bit more savvy with our money and how we eat.
But can you find stuff outside your door that you could eat? We're now joined by Jonathan Keane, Executive Head Chef at the Lodge at Ashford Castle, who's going to share his foraging knowledge with Kathy and I and all of you at home. Good morning.
Good
morning. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us. We've said there you are the Executive Chef at the Lodge at Ashford Castle. Would you incorporate foraged bits in your cooking?
Yeah, so it's kind of my modus operandi. All my menus would have, nearly every dish would have a foraged element to it.
Okay.
And where Ashford Castle and the Lodge are is in the middle of a big woodland. So I picked all this yesterday all around the hotel, in between showers. So
wow.
Yeah.
So what got you first interested in foraging?
Well, I'm from Connemara, so we'd always, there's no great mystery to foraging. We'd all have foraged blackberries when we were young, you know, and so we've loads of blackberries there, and what we do with them is make jams and stuff, and a lot of people would know about that.
Yeah.
It's just a bit more detailed than that. You learn as you go. I moved on to gorse flowers then that you'd see everywhere, the yellow gorse flowers. They actually taste like coconut. And I got interested in it that way, you know, because it's quite interesting. And it's easy just to go out, get food. It's free food, which is very appealing as well. And it's just good fun, and it's good to get your chefs out into nature. A bit of headspace and a bit of learning where your food comes from. You know?
Well, I wonder a lot about the process of identifying your foraged foods. Is this something you learned through like doing your chef work, or was it from early, like just, you know, foraging along with friends and family in Connemara?
You learn as you go. So the likes of mushrooms now would be very dangerous. You have to know what you're doing. So even now, I'm doing it 20 years now, I'd still take all the mushrooms back to work and identify them with books. There's apps now. There's apps for the wild plants and stuff, so you just take a photo and it'll come up straight away what it is.
Yeah, you also bring guests from the castle into the woodland.
That's right.
And you teach them how to forage. How long have you been doing that, and what do the guests actually get from that?
Yeah, so doing that as long as I'm in the lodge now, 11 to nearly 12 years.
Okay, a long time.
And the guests, we find now guests want interactive experiences.
Okay.
So they want to know where their food is coming from. So we show them, we explain everything to them, we taste a lot, then we can go back and we show them how to cook it. And guests love that, because guests don't just want to come and see the plate land in front of them now. They want to be involved in it. You know?
It's part of the experience.
I think I'd be the guest who just want the plate to land in front of them.
No, but it is a cool experience just to see what you are eating, and you have brought a couple along with you. Let's go through all of these and what we can make with each of them.
Sure, yeah. So first up here we have meadow sweet.
Okay.
So this is all over the place. A lot of people think this is a weed. So you can make ice cream with the flowers. So
ice cream?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it tastes kind of like elderflower, real floral. In the lodge we make chocolate mousse with the leaf as well. That's a little bit more technical because they're bitter and they're sweet. But it's a lovely floral taste. And that's
it's so funny with elderflower and, you know, chocolate or ice cream from just stuff like that.
Yeah.
You just don't think like
how
that.
it happens, yeah.
So that's what we do in the lodge. Like normally, say a vanilla ice cream, all you do is replace the vanilla with meadow sweet.
Wow.
Simple. Like there's nothing too
simple when you know what you're doing, just like you do.
Yeah.
What's next? What else have you got for us here?
We've got wood sorrel here. So wood sorrel is oxalis. So I would have accounted this one as a kid, eating it off the riverbank. A lot of people would mistake that with shamrock. You know, for Patrick's Day.
Yeah,
because it's a love heart shape,
yeah,
isn't it?
it's a clover, like.
Yeah.
It's an oxalis, and it's real sour, real appley taste. And we make a granita with that. It's just water, sugar, wood sorrel, buzz it up, freeze it, and scrape it with a fork. And it's a granita, and you just eat it like that, and it's a lovely flavoured ice.
There you go.
So again, nothing technical, no chemicals, nothing. On here then, we've hawthorn.
Okay.
So hawthorn grows all over the west.
Yeah.
You can use the leaves in salads and stuff, but really the berries is what you want.
Okay.
The berries have a slight cinnamony flavour. They're full of pectin, so that means that they'll set like a jelly. So all you have to do is boil them up with water and sugar, or water and honey is better again, and just pass them through a fine sieve, rub them through. There's a little stone in the middle, so you have to sieve them.
Yeah.
Put it in the fridge, it'll set, and in the morning it'll be a real red jelly. We serve that with venison.
It's very festive around Christmas time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the pectin that sets it, and it's lovely, you know.
Should we guess, are they blueberries?
No.
No.
They're from bad at foraging, guys.
So they're sloes.
Okay.
So sloe gin. I'm sure you've heard of sloe gin.
Yeah.
So regular gin is made with juniper berries. So sloe gin. Some people say sloe gin is too sweet, but the trick is not to add any sugar. So you just get whatever gin you like, put these in, leave it for about 5 or 6 weeks, and it'll start maturing, and the flavours of the natural sugars will come out. Don't add any sugar.
Okay.
That's the trick there.
No sugar
Otherwise
added.
your gin will be too sweet.
Like the mushrooms.
Yeah, okay, we got that.
They're interesting, yeah.
Interesting colour.
So these I got yesterday. They're chanterelles. So they grow in damp woodlands. They're really, really good. If I was to buy them now, they'd be big bucks, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They grow
Would you find these in most fields around Ireland?
Once it's damp, in the woodlands, you'll find them where the sun is getting through, near beech trees. They like beech trees, and they're beautiful. Like you fry them, because all mushrooms have a lot of water, so you need to fry them off until they're golden brown. Onions, tarragon, cream. Serve them on toast. Delicious.
Now, is any part of this like toxic or poisonous? What are the cautions that we have to take, you know, for people watching at home?
So if you're not sure, and even I still do, I take all the mushrooms back. I shoot them with my app on the phone, and it'll tell me exactly what they are. Now, I know what they are already, but there's a lot of mushrooms that even I have been picking for a long time, and I think they're one thing and they're another.
Yeah.
Telltale signs, really, the scales will tell you.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're wider apart, sometimes they're closer. There's all different rules. Sometimes mushrooms will have spots on them. They're usually not great. And there's an awful lot that you have to do. You need to be sure of mushrooms because they're very, very dangerous.
And the last question I'll ask you, 30 seconds left. Going foraging, what should you bring with you?
Good sharp knife or scissors, a basket, good footwear, and if the weather's bad, always tell someone where you're going, just in case you fall or anything, because you'll be going through bushes. We go to the seaside to get seaweeds as well and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just be careful, but it's a great way of getting your own food and knowing where your food comes from.
And just take what you need, what you're going to cook.
Yeah, only take about a third of each thing, because you want to give the plant a chance to regenerate.
Yeah.
And you want to leave it there for the next guy. And it's really for nature to give more, give back. If you take too much,
Perfect.
that's the end of it, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Jonathan
much.
Keane, thank you
for
so
joining
much.
us this morning. Yes. Just a reminder, please consult an expert first before you think about eating something or when using foraged foods, excuse me.
Now, still to come on Ireland AM this weekend, we delve into the effects of adult kids living in the family home.
And we get into the challenges facing girls in sport. That's happening after a short break. See you in a bit. We're just commenting who else is wearing blue.
They're all wearing
Martin,
the shade of blue.
The floor manager. Yes, good morning and a huge welcome back to Ireland AM. And it's coming up to 10 o'clock in the morning and we are with you for another 2 hours. So please stick the kettle on and keep us company.
He wants sweetener in his tea.
Yes.
I'm one sugar. Do you want
Okay.
milk? Yeah.
Soya.
Regular milk.
Regular.
Thank you very much. OK, that's sorted. Still to come. Sport Ireland have revealed that by the age of 15, the majority of girls label themselves as not sporty. We'll be chatting to one woman tackling that statistic head-on later this hour.
Also, new data has shown that the majority of young Irish adults are still living at home. But how can you and your family make it work if that's possible?
Yeah, it is.
It is. It is.
Just needs a lot of understanding.
Yes.
And with a third of this year's Booker Prize nominees being Irish, legendary author Sebastian Barry will be giving us his theory on why our wee country is such a big player in the world of literature.
We do so well in the world of literature.
Absolutely.
So
See,
well.
with the creative mind.
We're very creative. But speaking creatively, Katja, what are we wearing today?
Well, wouldn't you like to know, Brian? Pantone has announced that one of the biggest colour trends for autumn-winter will be sparkling grape. So we're not drinking sparkling wine, but we're wearing it. And I've got Shirley Lane with me. You've got all the details.
I'm taking the theme quite seriously today in this suit. I love it. I think it's such a rich colour. It's going to suit blondes, brunettes, redheads. It's beautiful. Just that regal kind of rich colour.
It's regal.
But it's stunning. Oh. Absolutely. So we have gorgeous 4 looks, 10:30.
Amazing. I'm looking forward to those looks. Back over to you guys.
Okay.
Should we have worn purple?
I think we should have got the grape on. Should have got the grape going.
Let me go and try and grab some clothes.
See if you can sort that out.
Okay.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
The afternoon will be a mix of sunshine and showers, with some heavier showers developing later in the afternoon. Highest temperatures of 18 to 21 degrees. This evening will continue to be a mix of showers and clear spells. Highest temperatures of 17 to 21 degrees. Tonight, cloud will build in the northwest with rain towards morning. Lowest temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
Now let's check on your Sunday paper, starting with the front page of the Sunday Independent. Backhurst wanted excuse to pull out of deal, says Tubridy. The paper details how Ryan Tubridy's team believe RTÉ was looking for a reason to terminate the plan to bring him back to the broadcaster in September, and that nothing in his statement justified the decision to end his RTÉ career.
On the front of the Business Post this morning, RTÉ braces for legal action over Backhurst's reforms. The paper goes on to say that RTÉ is moving to insulate the organisation against any legal action that could be brought by staff named in ongoing probes.
The Sunday Times leads with bailout cost for RTÉ unknown, says Varadkar. The Taoiseach said last night the government has yet to receive a bailout figure from RTÉ, as Catherine Martin, the media minister, came under licensed criticism for her handling of the crisis.
Onto the tabloids. In the Irish Mail on Sunday, its lead is RTÉ won't chase Tubbs for $150,000 payment. The story details RTÉ will not chase ex-presenter Ryan Tubridy for the €150,000 he offered to repay as part of the initial deal for him to return to the station.
The Sunday World leads with Loch horror. The story details how notorious Tiger kidnap boss and cab target Stephen Saunders has undergone a career change as his wife has set up a locksmith business.
The Sun on Sunday reads Dolores €5 million will for kids. The Cranberries rocker Dolores O'Riordan left a €5 million cash pile in her will.
The Irish Sunday Mirror leads with fright of her leaf. The paper goes on to say a 94-year-old woman had a miracle escape when a giant tree crashed into her Dublin home, narrowly missing her bedroom.
Now, Harry Styles, who we all love, he catches our eye just on an everyday basis
It's his fashion,
with his
songs.
gorgeous self, you know. But this morning, Harry Styles is catching my eye for a different reason. He is now releasing a perfume line. Yes.
Right. I'm not surprised by that.
It's sort of the next step in his celebrity.
Yeah, I think so.
This is his new business venture, and it's a range of perfumes that smell skin on skin and one-night stands. Are we surprised?
Are we going to buy?
Are we appealed? Well, let me tell you.
Sorry, but one-night stands...
What do they smell like?
Regret. Regret.
Yes. He should have one perfume called Regret.
I wonder what it does.
I know.
Smell like.
But now the scents are called Reveille, Closeness, Bright, Hot, and they're all part of his new cosmetics brand. So it's going to be expanding, and his whole brand will be called Pleasing. So it's very on theme. So the description of the perfume include a whispered yes. Ooh. Yes. A skin pressed against skin.
What does that smell like?
I don't.
Yes.
Sweat? I don't know. I don't know.
Vodka? Vodka doesn't smell.
Wait for this. A delightful encounter with a stranger. So yes, it is quite interesting.
These also sound like songs that he could release.
I know.
They sound like songs.
It maybe could turn into an album. Yeah, but we do know celebrities they do release their perfume, and it is just part of their line in celebrity life.
Also, he's doing a cosmetic line, so that could be skincare.
Yes.
It could be makeup. It's going to be fragrances.
Absolutely. Now, some of my favourite celebrity perfume lines are.
Here we go.
We've got Lovely by Jessica Parker, which I haven't tried. I tried Heat by Beyonce.
Yes.
And Fantasy Britney Spears. Midnight by Britney Spears was great.
Those ones are very, very popular.
And to this day, I think they've sold so well. My sister still wears Midnight.
Yeah.
What about you? Any celeb perfumes you bought into?
Not really, but I remember if I see someone in the commercial that I think looks good, I tend to buy that if they wear it.
So if it's celebrity endorsed?
Endorsed.
Okay, what about you, Martin?
So how many cans and bottles of blue?
Loads.
Loads. Because of Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was Dior, wasn't he?
Dior.
He was
Yes.
Sorry, I've just moved him.
Sauvage.
Sorry about that. He was Sauvage. Somebody else does blue.
Yes,
I don't
that
know.
smells amazing, by the way.
It does. What about you, Martin?
No.
Any celeb perfumes?
No.
No?
No.
Didn't buy into David Beckham?
I do have my favourite aftershaves.
Which is?
Well, I like Tom Ford.
Yeah.
Oh, you
now
got
you're
good
talking
taste.
my language,
You
Mark.
got good
Black
taste.
Orchid.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Bitter
Noir.
peach.
Yeah. They would be my favourite at the moment.
At the moment. But you guys at home, let us know, what are some of your favourite celeb perfumes? 089 611 111. And would you buy Harry Styles' perfume?
If the answer is yes, people will.
Yeah.
Okay. Adele has given up coffee. Do you drink coffee?
I don't, but I do like an espresso martini. I know that's contradictory, but I wouldn't drink coffee during the day.
I drink it when I need it as a necessity, but if I can go without it, I will. So why has she given up coffee?
Yeah.
She's given up coffee because she said that it's causing problems for her. And coffee's not good if you're about to go on stage and sing. And she's got a residency in Las Vegas.
So, is it bad for your throat? Is it bad for your head? What's it bad for?
Well, it's certainly bad for her head because since she gave it up, she said that she's getting awful headaches. And Adele being Adele, and you know how honest she is, when she goes on stage, she says what she's thinking. And she actually told the audience, I've given up coffee and I'm getting awful headaches, but when she goes on stage, the adrenaline of being on stage relieves the headaches.
Oh.
So she was almost thanking the audience just for being there because of
for the energy.
Headache relief.
Is it withdrawals?
It's
maybe.
It is
withdrawals.
Okay, yeah.
She's saying here that giving up cigarettes, giving up drink was easier
than giving up coffee.
Just because the withdrawals and the headaches that she gets. She says now, I am drinking decaf coffee sometimes to just trick my brain into thinking the fact that I have had a coffee. But it's not quite working. But,
I do that sometimes if I'm out and about and I don't want to drink alcohol. I'll have a non-alcoholic cocktail, so it looks like it's a bougie drink.
Yes.
So I'm tricking myself into
put some elderflower in it. Some of his.
Get some of the
berries. Yeah.
Where's Jonathan? We can eat them.
Speaking of Jonathan, we do have a quick text from Anne on foraging. Me and my husband pick berries on our lane every year. I freeze them and use them in porridge and baking and making jam. Last year we picked 12 kilos of berries, and all of our friends. I know. All of our friends and family and neighbours have been eating blackberry jam since. I love that.
Is that foraging too much?
That's it, maybe.
Has she left anything for anybody else?
One here from Jackie. I've been picking wild garlic for years. It is such a delicate flavour, and even better, it's completely free. Yes, Jackie.
I love that.
Okay, and Martin says, not me. I've always foraged mushrooms. I cook that I cook with, but you have to be careful and know your stuff. Well, that's what Jonathan was saying.
Get the apps and identify them.
With the mushrooms. Okay. After, we love to hear from you. So any comments you want to make, you can get in touch with us by text at 0896 111 111. After the break, we're chatting about the barriers facing girls in sport. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. Growing up as an elite runner, Orna Murray experienced firsthand the barriers young girls face as they try to succeed in sport.
Now Orna is working hard to tackle stigmas and encourage girls to stay in sport. Orna joins us now. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, we're delighted to have you on. I mean, it's a great topic that we're going to get into. But let's talk about you first. You know, you are a seasoned athlete, and in doing that, obviously, that includes vigorous training.
Yeah.
And you happen to lose your period during that time.
Yeah.
So tell us about that, and like, was that something you were happy about or worried about at the time?
Yeah, so I always loved sports and physical activity and started getting really into athletics at around 16 or 17 and just went hell for leather at it. Like, loved it, loved the sense of confidence it gave me, the structure it gave my life. And it was maybe after 2 or 3 years of really intense training that I didn't get my period. And people ask me, like, how did you feel about that? And, like, honestly, I never even thought about it. It was really convenient for me. I didn't think it was an issue. I didn't hear anyone talking about it, and I certainly wasn't going to bring it up as an issue because I didn't know, and I just thought it was great. Yeah. Yeah, it's just interesting, like, looking back now with what I know, like my own lack of education, my own lack of understanding.
It's not something you should be okay
Yeah,
with,
like, it should have been a big red flag, being like,
Yeah.
and that must have been 3 or 4 years without menstruating, which obviously leads to its own problems kind of further down the line.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you didn't talk to a team doctor, you didn't talk to a coach, no one about this.
I might have whispered it to, like, one of my teammates, like on track, like I was running track and field at the time, and yeah, I mean, I was like, I'm not really getting my period, and she was like, you can go on the pill if you want. And again, we know that that's not a cure for not getting your period. It can kind of help mask the symptoms. But at the end of the day, if you're not getting a period, there is, you know, let's investigate this further. Let's see what's going on underneath. It's like an amazing training metric to have. But at the time, I guess, maybe was it appropriate for, like, my coach didn't have that education. He didn't know that it was important either. And was that maybe just something you don't talk about in sport? You know, so I don't think it was a conscious decision, but it just, there was no language for me.
And in practicing sport at that time, like, were your teammates also going through the same thing? And was that something that you all sort of bonded on, like, oh, it's kind of such convenience, I don't have my period this
Honestly,
month.
like, we didn't even talk about it that much, but, like, there would have been a lot of us that didn't have our periods, so it was kind of normal. And, like, I hate to say it, it was kind of like you're training hard.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I think that's what I thought subconsciously is, like, you know, I'm pushing on hard, and I knew a lot of athletes that didn't have their periods and they were doing quite well for a certain period of time. But then that we know that your menstrual cycle is so important for, like, bone density, for your mood, how you feel, and there's so many good things associated with it. And I think that once we can work with your actual bleed, like your period, that it becomes a really positive thing, not just for training and performance, but just for your life and how you feel in your own body.
Yeah.
Okay, but it can be a barrier for some female athletes.
Yeah.
Go on.
And especially for teenagers, which is where Niamh and I do most of our work, is, you know, you go from having a body that doesn't have a period to having a body that has a menstrual cycle and a period. And it's just like, there is so much change that happens, and that can happen as young as 8. You know, these are children sometimes dealing with quite adult problems, and when it comes to things like how to use a tampon, and if you're going swimming in the pool, and developing breasts, and it's like there's all these things that we just assume you're going to figure out, and there's just a massive drop off. I think girls are dropping off at twice the rate of boys, and only 7% of teens are reaching the recommended levels of physical activity.
That frightened me when I read it.
Frightening.
Yeah,
like,
that over the age of 14 or 15.
Yeah, around
7%.
the age. Yeah.
Do you think girls are encouraged to stray away from sports when they hit puberty?
I don't know if they're encouraged, but I certainly remember someone saying to me, you can have academia or you can have sports. And I think, like, you know, we know that girls that are involved in sports are more likely to do higher level maths. They're more likely to get into male dominated areas because they have that confidence. And I just remember there wasn't, now outside of my family, I will say my parents were super encouraging. The people around me, my coaches, were really encouraging for me to do what I wanted to do. But I don't think society at that time, or maybe, you know, what I was experiencing, was that encouraging of you can do both, and you can do both to a really high standard.
Yeah, because of society, like girls are going in and saying, I'm not sporty, you know?
Yeah, and I think with this whole amazing women in sports movement, we also want to focus on participation and elite performance and everything in between. Like you might, like, you know, for me, the early part of my life was quite elite, and now I'm in it for the not the performance, for the participation, just to enjoy it and be involved. And like, you run a 5K and it's just like, yeah, it's a bit slower than I might have been in my young, but I still get that same buzz, that sense of community, that sense of achievement. And it's just like, for me, I want all girls to access that, regardless of if your sport is rollerblading or ultimate frisbee and doesn't have a gold medal at the end. Your experience is still so valuable and valid.
Okay, I'm thinking of the amount of people I've met through the years who got scholarships because, and they weren't even at a high level when it came to sports, but because they were at a good level, they were getting scholarships. So their education, their academia and their sport was able to go in parallel lines.
And that's the amazing thing, is there's such opportunity for young girls, and that's what I want. I want them to get excited about what it can do for them and where it can bring them and how it can, like, expand their horizons. Because, you know, sometimes we grow up in small communities, and it's sometimes when you step outside that of what you thought was possible that you're like, you know, as we see in the athletics this morning, like these women just travelling all over the world, you know, just smashing PBs. It's just amazing to watch.
It's fantastic. So what can we do better to encourage girls to stay in sport, competitive or otherwise?
I think having more open conversations. When you're working with teens, it's about being honest. You know, like, about the challenges, maybe the nervousness of trying something new. And to be like, I can understand maybe the hesitation or the fear, maybe the fear of looking stupid. And you sharing your own experiences of messing up, you know, a trial or a sport, that just takes away all their stress, their anxiety, their worry about trying something new. So it's nothing different to ourselves. Like, if you were to try something new, just like making it fun, being encouraging, and then if there are challenges, chatting those through. I think teenagers, especially young women, appreciate honesty.
Because it's such an awkward phase in your life anyway. You help them feel seen. So yourself and your sister, Niamh, who's about to pop any day now. Good luck, Niamh.
Good luck, Niamh. We're thinking of you.
Now, you set up Move to Be. This is your company. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so what we want to do with that, and it's kind of from a moral obligation, as opposed to we're great business people, to be honest. But we want to just break down those hidden barriers, so the social, the practical ones that might get in the way of young girls being involved. For me, one of my passions that I want to get out there is working with your menstrual cycle, that it's a really positive thing, that it's not just something to be managed, that it's good for your mood, your energy. There's all these beautiful parts of it. And sometimes we focus on the negative part. We also want to expand kind of our definition of what sport is. You know, some people love team sports, they love camogie, they love soccer and rugby, and others, you know, myself included, I'm not great when there's a football on the pitch. You know, I kind of do better when it's like maybe running or surfing. And it's like, that's okay.
Find your sport.
Find your sport. And also, we just share embarrassing stories about things that we've gotten so wrong, and then they can,
like, for example, last week, the ladies' football finals were on at Croke Park. Kerry wear green and gold and white shorts. The Kerry ladies wear navy shorts. That's a step in the right direction, yes?
Big time. Yeah, and behind that one change has been a lot of social shift. You know, when I started off doing this work 4 or 5 years ago, it was kind of like, not laughable, but people would be like, there would be like a nervous laugh in the back of their own throat because they were uncomfortable. And now you see that people are getting excited. I tell people what I do, you know, and they're like, oh, cool.
Embracing it.
And like, even for me to see that is just such social change. So it's the step in the right direction, but we can do a lot more. You know, even when I was looked at some of the kit that I was asked to wear, you know, it was very small shorts. And I actually felt uncomfortable, but I didn't have the confidence to say I would prefer longer shorts. You know, like, just for me in how I like to perform.
But for menstruation, darker colour shorts
is really
better.
is great. But also looking at those practical things, are there always facilities, are there always, like in every first aid kit, there should just be pads and tampons, just in case. You know, really simple things. And when I'm working with coaches and, you know, a lot of them are male and are doing such amazing work, it's to take their own nervousness away. It's like there's a few easy steps that you can do that will just change that relationship with you and your team. They're like
tailoring the environment.
It's like this is a space for you, and I know that you menstruate, and I'm okay with that. It's just another training metric.
Orna, tell us where we can find out more about you and Move to Be.
Yeah, so we're on just movetobe.ie. We do no real marketing, so we work with it. That's our next thing. But yeah, you can find us online there, and we have some online programs, and we do workshops as well.
Amazing. Orna, thank you so much, and of course,
best of luck to Neve.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yes. Do we know what it is, boy or girl?
Boy.
Oh, exciting stuff. Thanks so much, Orna. Now, after the break, we're on the catwalk looking for the colour of the moment. That is sparkling grape, if you didn't know.
We forgot our sparkling grape today, I can't believe it.
See you in 3. You're very welcome back.
Very
welcome back. One of the biggest colours for autumn-winter will be sparkling grape. Now, that's according to colour authority Pantone.
But the question is, how can we wear purple without looking like A, the Joker, or B, a big friendly dinosaur? Not such a good look. Here with all the, unless you're Barney, here with all the answers is stylist Shirley Lane.
Good morning.
How many looks are we?
4 fabulous looks.
Will we get started?
Yes.
Let's go, Shirley.
And do you know what? They're different because you don't always see people wearing this beautiful shade of purple, but it's all over the high street.
I think when you say purple, I think people fear it as a block colour.
Yes, like I have a black colour.
Yes.
I love it.
No,
it's
it
nice
looks great.
And rich.
Sometimes you need to be bold and confident with your colours.
This is a bit calmer. It's beautiful. It's a lovely soft purple. This dress is amazing. It's the most beautiful shape. It is fabulous. It's brand new this week from Carrickdon, just in the door. All of our looks are...
This is an exclusive.
It is. And all of our looks are just in the door in Blanchardstown. So it's so brand new on the high street, which is fantastic. This €55, absolutely beautiful. But you know what? Some wrap dresses can be a bit tight on the waist. This has loads of material, absolutely perfect. Look at the
hold
flow.
That dress, Ursula. Ursula, hold
beautiful
that dress.
Detail. So today's a bit breezy. So again, for the next while,
Marilyn Monroe is in the building.
Add a little jacket. These jackets now in Carrickdon, they come in multiple colours. They are what everyone should have in their wardrobe. They feel like velour. So soft, but you know what? It's the warmth of a cardigan, but the look of a jacket.
That's
it. It's smart.
It makes it look trendy as opposed to too formal.
Exactly. And again, this I have one of these at home, and I just wear it with my jeans.
Yeah.
You know, jeans, a pair of trainers, nice little t-shirt.
And perfect for that autumn. We're breaking into that autumn weather,
we need a layer.
Yes.
A layer of something, and sometimes you don't want to go with a dowdy cardigan. So I think this is gorgeous. Beautiful neutral heels. Again, gorgeous leather. Beautiful height in the heel, but the whole look is beautiful. But I always feel at this time of the year, you want to get something different.
Yeah.
You're going into a new season, but like something like that you're going to wear all year long, which is gorgeous. And this then is your beautiful grape detail for the guys.
Something for the guys.
Yeah, it's lovely to include the guys. And you see the shirt has like the deep purple with the lighter kind of sparkling grape colour. And again, the sweater, and I love a half zip. Again, it's not as formal as a V-neck all the time. I think it's a little bit trendier. But this jumper, absolutely fab, and they've such great value in store at the minute. But I've been in Tiffany's and I've featured them so many times on here, and it's quality.
I must actually check them out, because that is something I would wear myself.
You will love them, absolutely. And the guys in store are fantastic, like at giving advice and stuff like that. But this is beautiful, and it's so wearable, and it's really appropriate for the time of the year. You're going in, you want something light. You don't want a big heavy knit at this time of the year. And we're kind of keeping it a little bit lighter on the bottom. Just again, we're still in August. We don't want to go too wintry yet. And they're just a nice light grey chino.
I wasn't sure if that was like a lilac-y purple. It's actually, it's a grey.
But it is a nice contrast. Like, would you recommend just pairing purple with something lighter than whether it's a jacket or pants, because it's such a strong colour?
It's a lovely contrast. It really is. But again, you're going into winter, so you can still wear this with dark jeans. You can wear them with chinos if you're going in the office. And again, I've just teamed it with like nice leather trainers, keeping the colour nice and fresh. Don't want to go too dark yet. And again, when you go into Tiffany's, I think the first thing you're struck by is colour. They have so many beautiful colours, like neons and that beautiful kind of grey colour. Oh, they're fab. Definitely check them out. And then I just adore this.
Love
it's
this.
So classy, really elegant, super stylish, looks $1 million without the price point. And this is from Mango. And again, if you're familiar with Blanchardstown Centre, you're going to know that Mango is quite a big store. But the prices are unbelievable. My suit is from Mango, but the jumpsuit, $59.99. It's a whole outfit in one.
Really good
and
price.
I love the big belt. See the beautiful detail on the belt, so it just accentuates the
Dynasty,
waist. Oh, I love it.
fashion.
It's fab. And again, you're going to zoom in and just on the neckline, and you're going to see some pleating there, just coming down the bust line. So it's really flattering. So even if you have a larger bust line, you can wear your full bra. You're not going to have to kind of layer it up with a cami or anything.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful. And I like that it's a wider shoulder line, so you don't feel bare in it.
Yeah.
But this would be perfect for the office. Put a blazer over it. I've just teamed it with this Chanel look jacket, which I adore.
It just makes
Isn't
it.
So Chanel
makes the look.
It is the most beautiful material. We also got it in a really bright red. And again, brand new stock in Mango and Blanchardstown Centre. But at this time of the year, it's lovely to know where to go shop.
And that jacket's such a good price point, $69.99.
And it's such a classic piece. And look at the back, just a little bit of fun, so cute. Anyone with race days or anything coming up, again, just check them out for accessories even. But again, just teamed it with a very simple, neutral heel. Mango are great for accessories, great for footwear. I love their shoes. And again, even in store, like they have a really good size range, like from size 2 to 3 right up. So there's something for everybody, which is great. And the price point is fab.
I feel like she's going to spin around and turn into a Wonder Woman.
Our last look is giving wow.
So this is sparkling grape all over. It's absolutely beautiful. So again, starting with the MAC, it's a star buy piece. It's one of those you take out every year for the rest of your life. And I love this colour versus a neutral MAC. I think sometimes a neutral MAC can be a little bit wishy-washy against the skin tone. I think this is beautiful, such a rich berry colour, beautiful. But again, see the length, which I adore, because you can wear this MAC over your jeans, over a skirt, over a dress for work even. And again, this absolutely beautiful dress. And again, Hobbs are known for quality. It's affordable luxury. And again, it's upstairs in BT2 in Blanchardstown Centre, but such a classic dress. Like really good size range from a size 8 right up to a size 18. I've added a belt just to take it in because the dress is a little bit on the oversized look. So add your own little belt. Come winter, if you want to wear it with black tights and boots, and add a darker belt, perfect. And look at these shoes from Mango. So again, $45.99 brings in the colour of the dress, absolutely perfect. But these are all pieces that are transitional, that are ideal for now, that you can keep on wearing for, number one, the next few months, but for years to come, and it's all brand new stock, Blanchardstown Centre.
Shirley Lane, thank you.
Up next, over 2/3 of young Irish people are still living at home. But what effects does this have on both parents and children? We discuss it all after the break. See you in a bit. A huge welcome back to the show. We all know that the current cost of living crisis is having a huge effect on the lifestyles of young people, with 68% of Irish people between the ages of 25 and 29 still living at home, according to new data from Eurostat.
To discuss how you and your family can make what can be an awkward situation work, psychotherapist Joanna Fortune joins us now. Good morning to you, Joanna.
Good morning.
Good to see you. 68%, 2/3.
It's the majority. Like, we really have to... Most young people that age are living at home. That's really what it says. And that is so not... We can't even say it's not in line with our European counterparts. It's completely disproportionate to the figures from around Europe.
OK, so tell us those figures.
So we've got, like, the European average is around 42%, but in some countries you'd have as low as 6%.
Huh?
You know, and here we are sitting at 68.
Ooh, that was a gasp of shock there,
so
6%?
Yes.
But it really is. And I think it's the beginning of not the beginning, I think the evidence is there, but we're seeing these social consequences for our housing crisis, cost of living crisis, as you said, that it's not just affordability, it's also accessibility.
OK. An obvious question. I'll be the one to ask it. What's causing all of this?
Well, I mean, that's a whole other kind of interview. But I think, you know, when we think about young people and young adults is what we're talking about. You know, we used to, I remember doing a lot of interviews and we'd talk about young adults and we would define that as anyone up to 23 years old. Increasingly, and across literature, we're seeing that redefined as anything up to 30 years old. So that in itself is a big change. That makes me feel better because I'm
45.
Oh, you're a
really
teenager now. Yeah.
You're a teenager in this sense.
So I'm doing that math.
But, you know, when we make these significant changes to how a demographic is living and how they're working and how they're moving through the trajectory of life, we shouldn't be surprised when there are significant impacts. And there's mental health impact, that you're living at home. You feel like, why haven't I making this work? You've also got young adults who are sitting there saying, well, I did everything I was supposed to do.
Am I a failure?
You know, I got educated, I have a job, and I still can't make this work. It's, you know, interfering with how people get into relationships and make other big life choices that they may want to make, such as when to start a family. Because if you're living at home longer and you're not out there in the world independently, you're making different choices.
I'd be interested to know, with those percentages and statistics that were done, is it more male or female? I'd be interested to know.
It's more men.
It's more men.
Living at home.
Right.
And there isn't, in the research, as far as I could see, there isn't a whole lot of, well, why is that? There could be a whole lot of variables contributing to that, but it's more men living at home. Not massively so, but yes.
More.
Yeah.
OK, so what about parents? Because parents also have this perception. You know, like Blake is coming up for first birthday.
Yes.
So I have two children living in the house with myself and Jenny, 20 and nearly 24. So our 24-year-old Matthew, he's on the cusp of that
age group.
That age group. For parents, you expect your children to move on. So there's a lot of parents who are thinking, am I supposed to have an empty nest here?
I know. We used to talk about the fear of the empty nest. I think it's becoming like the Holy Grail at this stage. People going, with that empty nest, when is it coming? And I do think there's something in that, because the job of parenting is to raise independent adults, really. That's what it is. We raise our children to one day, it's very hard when you have a one-year-old.
Yeah, I'm like, I have years and years and years
She will move out and away from you.
No, she won't. Why do you say that?
I know, brace yourself.
Put your fingers in your ear and sing la 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 la.
Even one, no.
But I think there is something about that extended living at home that also affects the parent-child relationship in other ways, because we can see, now this isn't true for everyone, of course, nothing is, but we can see increased infantilized adults.
What's that?
You're still behaving like a teenager because you're getting to live like one.
But you're 32. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So what's for dinner, Mom or Dad? You know, did you wash my jeans? I left them in the wash. Why isn't it ready?
Sorry,
Jenny, if you're watching, could you hit the record button?
Please. It's been said to you at home.
Oh, yeah, like stuff just appears in the washing basket, and I left a pair of jeans in there.
It is, but the problem with that is, one part, if the parental side of it is happy to keep doing it, you're perpetuating this.
And also, with having kids that are older in their 20s and 30s, the parents are going to be older, potentially nearing retirement age. How does that affect that? If parents want to retire, they're like, well, we can't.
Massively. They still have a full house.
Yes.
They're still cooking family dinners.
Yes.
And they're still going through the motions and the costs associated with all of that as well. If you are an adult living at home with your parents, and ideally we would say you live with your parents by choice, but that's not what this research is telling us. People are living with their parents because they feel they've no other option.
I think that makes it slightly sadder. It could be circumstances.
Yeah, and the professor trying to say this. Listen, when the bank bailout occurred in 2008, we were told that this is what was coming down the line.
Absolutely, we were. And I think that that's something that we have to think about too, that there needs to be open, clear communication, and boundaries is the name of the game.
Absolutely. OK.
You agree entirely with that.
But now, to be honest...
He's living it.
Yeah.
But no, Jenny and I are delighted that the two boys are there.
Of course you are. We're live on the telly.
Of course I am.
Of course you are.
I'll tell you.
Tell me after we go to the break. Thank you.
No, but we are. But we really are.
No, but I think that's true for everyone.
But there are boundaries in place already, and the boys will cook for themselves.
Yes.
And they haven't quite tackled the laundry yet, but they are cooking for themselves.
Baby steps.
But I always think, look after your own space.
It has to be look after your own space, and that also means that parents aren't intruding on their adult children's space as well. And, what time will you be home, or what time do you call this? And agreeing certain boundaries around who's having guests visit the house, or maybe
like
stay over
guests.
in the house. Nobody wants an uncomfortable meeting on the landing at 2 a.m. or anything like that. So this all comes down to communication.
Not seen you here before.
Oh, you must be Wednesday.
Yeah.
But it does come down to that bit of boundaries, communication. I'm living here. This is my goal in living here. I'm working towards saving or whatever it is. I will be cooking dinner twice a week. I will take care of my own laundry. Living like an adult, because you know what? You are an adult. You know that research that showed so many of us are still living at home with our parents also showed that around half, 50%-ish of that cohort also said their quality of life was very high. So it might be quite nice to live at home as well,
so
and to be taken care of.
People with the stats say have been forced to go back home. Yeah. But then if they're having such a great time, there's no rent, there's no mortgage, your laundry, your food, everything's done for you. You're thinking, actually, why would I want to move out?
Well, it's
right. If they're having such a good time.
I completely agree, but that's when tensions come in. Because then parents will be very happy you're living here because, gosh, it's so difficult to go out there and do it. And hang on a second, you're not finding this difficult at all, and you look very comfortable, and I don't think you're ever going to go. So it is about, we're here to support and help you, and here's how you're going to do your piece of that. And you have to revisit it as it goes and continues. And according to those statistics, it is going to continue. I would say we do see some mental health impact on this as well. So keep speaking about it, keep reaching out, make sure that you still have your life outside of the house and stay connected with your network, because you are an adult and you do get to live like that.
So you got to discuss it like adults.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
You.
She's sorting it out.
And also, you can talk to me about anything.
We will now. We'll talk.
Listen to what Joanna said. Get it off your chest. Stay with us. We're back after this short break. How are you really feeling?
Okay, I'll tell you now,
Brian, just tell me.
I really should find my way back home. Any places, landmarks you remember? I remember the devil in the sky. I'm lost. You're astray now. You can do anything you want. This beer doesn't taste good, but I like how it's making me feel. Looks like she hasn't been washed in years. I'll see you later, baby. It was nice to meet you. We're completely lost, and my little puppy paw pads are really hurting right now. This could be a lot worse. How could this get worse? Hold on, buddy! That is the craziest thing I have ever seen. And I'm Dennis Quaid.
Yes, hello there. Welcome back to Ireland AM. It's almost 11 on Sunday, the 20th of August.
We have moved quick from out there.
Listen, we've got our runners on today.
And then we're back in there. Coming up, the author with not one, not two, but 5 Booker Prize nominations to his name. Sebastian Barry will be putting on his humble face for us later.
Of course he will.
Yes.
Next Friday marks the end of an era for Carrie Bradshaw.
I'm watching it.
Are you devastated?
I'm into it. It's a good show.
He's devil. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to be expecting tears because we'll be looking ahead to the finale of the Sex and the City spin-off and Just Like That, plus the other good stuff coming to our screens next week.
Now, Katya, what's on the menu for lunch, please?
Now, guys, I have picked a good day for my cheat day because we've got an extra special treat in the kitchen this morning, as Chef Martin O'Donnell has finally agreed to give up your secret recipe for sausage rolls.
It's a sad day.
You're really parting with your soul here today. But tell us, what are we looking forward to later?
We are doing beautiful sausage rolls, our own homemade pastry, some little relish and a little salad.
Oh, too good, too good. You don't want to miss it.
Now, for the final time, let's check on your Sunday paper, starting with the front page of the Sunday Independent. Backhurst wanted excuse to pull out of deal, says Tubridy. The paper details how Ryan Tubridy's team believe RTE were looking for a reason to terminate the plan to bring him back to the broadcaster in September, and it was nothing to do with his statement that justified his decision to end the RTE career.
On the front of the Business Post this morning, RTE braces for legal action over Backhurst's reforms. The paper goes on to say that RTE is moving to insulate the organisation against any legal action that could be brought by staff named in ongoing probes.
The Sunday Times leads with bailout cost for RTE unknown. Says Varadkar, the Taoiseach said last night the government has yet to receive a bailout figure from RTE, as Catherine Martin, the media minister, came under licensed criticism for her handling of the crisis.
On to the tabloids in the Irish Mail on Sunday. Leads with RTE won't chase Tubbs for €150,000 payment. The story details RTE will not chase ACT presenter Ryan Tubridy for the €150,000 he offered to repay as part of the initial deal for him to return to the station.
The Sunday World leads with Loch Horror. The story details how notorious Tiger kidnap boss and cab target Stephen Saunders has undergone a career change as his wife has set up a locksmith business.
The Sun on Sunday reads Dolores €5 million will for kids. Cranberries rocker Dolores O'Riordan left a €5 million cash pile in her will.
The Irish Sunday Mirror leads with fright of her leaf. The paper goes on to say a 94-year-old woman had a miracle escape when a giant tree crashed into her Dublin home, narrowly missing her bedroom. Very, very lucky there.
Now, those were your headlines, but we always love hearing from you guys, and we have a bunch of texts in. This is off the back of our discussion on Harry Styles. You know, he is releasing a perfume line under his cosmetics line, Pleasing. So we asked...
One night stands.
One night stands and skin on skin. But we asked you lot at home about your favourite perfumes. Chloe has said, when I was a child, I fully thought I would smell exact same as Britney Spears if I wore her perfume every day. I was completely obsessed, and I still have it in the press.
I actually do wonder, do celebrities wear their own fragrances? Because that's a great way of marketing.
Oh, absolutely.
Rihanna is known to wear her own fragrances, and she is known to also smell divine. So a lot of people bought into her.
I just like the fact that there were two other perfumes mentioned in that. First of all, Chloe.
Yeah,
and then Obsessed.
Yes, good spot.
Or is it Obsession? Anyway.
I think there's one called Obsessed and Obsession as well. Yeah. Melissa, Beyonce Heat, one of your favourite, has always been and always will be my favourite perfume.
And they still have them all over Boots,
Okay. Tanya, lol, I'm the same as Brian. I always buy perfumes based on how good looking the person is in the ad.
And lastly, Paddy goes, you cannot beat Lynx Africa. That should be a celeb perfume.
Paddy lives on his own.
Now, speaking of celebs, who here watches Celebrity Gogglebox?
I'd have it on the odd time.
Well, fans of the show, if you don't want to let me ruin it for you, look away now. Celebrity Gogglebox stars don't watch full clips, but only highlights. Denise Van Outen has revealed, and apparently it's to keep costs down and to secure bigger names, and 2 cameras are set up, one in a wide and one for close-ups, but they only watch little clips, not full.
Not the whole show?
Not the whole show. So you know those OMG moments and oh, she did it, it was her. They just see the juicy bits, not full episodes. This does kind of make sense if they want to cost the filming down and then get bigger names that won't have the time to watch all the episodes. But what do you think of it?
It's gas, because I remember watching a Celebrity Gogglebox one where Westlife were watching Fatal Attraction. And I thought they must have watched the whole movie, because I think it was Nicky Byrne shouted, "Get up them stairs!" at Michael Douglas when the water started dripping through the ceiling. And I thought they must have watched the whole movie, but they don't.
All they do is watch clips. We've just ruined it for people.
Do you know what? A lot of YouTube reaction videos are quite the same. So they'll just put like a 15 or 20 second clip in front of someone and they'll react based on that. So maybe they're just going towards that direction a bit more.
Yes.
But it makes sense,
It does make sense. After the break, we are sitting down with the Irish literature royalty, Sebastian Barry. Will be with us live. See you after the short break. Welcome back to the show. We're now joined by the author of not one, not two, but 5 Booker Prize long-listed novels, while also being the first novelist to win the Costa Book of the Year prize 2 times.
OK,
twice.
So what you're saying is we're not dealing with muck.
Oh, certainly not, darling, no.
Through all of that, Sebastian Barry has stayed remarkably humble, and he joins us now to chat about his latest novel, Old God's Time. Sebastian, welcome to the show. And you brought the summer jacket as well.
I did, my working jacket.
This is the working jacket. Tell us about the tiger, by the way, on the collar.
Well, I was in Cambridge and feeling a little bit done in by my book tour. And Ali Smith, the wonderful Scottish writer, was there. And she took a tiger pin out of her pocket and said, "I'll give you this to look after, and he'll look after you." And so I always have it on now.
OK.
It's like a little good luck charm.
It is.
I like it.
But what I love about that story is the camaraderie among writers.
No, we can be really sweet to each other. I think we have a greater awareness because there's so many more writers of what's involved in writing, and it is a great joy and it is a great privilege, but it also has its tough side. So we tend to baby each other as much as we can.
Well, congratulations. This is your 5th nomination for the Booker Prize.
I'm dizzy, I tell you.
All God's time. So tell us about the story.
Well, it is a tough book in some ways, and I was very pleased it was nominated, because then you start to reach more readers. To some degree, it's a homage or a loving letter to all survivors of sexual abuse, but not just to talk about that, but just to show in Tom Kettle, my retired Garda detective, the great courage of people who have been abused in their childhoods, and then have to make an accommodation with that and have to learn how to live. Although he's a man under immense pressures, even more so, he's just retired, and 2 men from his old division come to ask him about an old case, and that really makes him start to fall apart, because there's things he doesn't want to be thinking about. He was perfectly happy not thinking about them, and now he must think about them. So it is a book about disintegration, but it's also a book about the immense courage that I have noted, almost joyfully in survivors.
Yeah,
some of our most important citizens.
And strength. If you can, Sebastian, tell us what drew you to this story in particular, and was there a lot of research for the book?
Well, being alive is the best research you can do.
Nice, yeah.
When I was a little boy, there was trouble in our family of that sort, but the major response to it was don't talk about it. Telling a little boy of 6 or 7, never speak of this, never speak of this. And that silence is the thing that's taken me 60 years to break through. And therefore I'm immensely grateful to having a character like Tom Kettle, who in some ways can speak around the thing that troubled us so greatly when we were children. Otherwise, I'm reading all the Mary Raftery stuff and watching her amazing programs. An amazing book by Peter Tyrrell, which he was desperate to try and publish in the 60s. He was sending it to Senator Sheehy Skeffington. The papers only discovered when Sheehy Skeffington died, tragically. Ultimately, he went into Hampstead Heath, tragically, and burned himself alive. He wasn't identified for 18 months. And but for the fact that he had a little piece of a postcard with Sheehy Skeffington's name on it, that's the only way they could identify him ultimately. And it's this sort of forced anonymity that's put onto people who have these experiences that is also part of the tragedy. My view of it is that these are probably the people that should be most celebrated in Irish life. If we want statues, it should be to people like Tom Kettle.
You mentioned 1960s Ireland, a very different Ireland. It was a church-run Ireland. And when people were raising their hands and saying, listen, we need to make people aware of this, and we need to make the Vatican aware of this, they were being told to quieten down and just hold their wish, shall we say.
Well, I mean, one of the prompts for the book, from your question too, is that when I was reading either the Ryan or the Murphy report, much to my horror, popped up a piece of my own DNA, who is the auxiliary bishop of Dublin. And apparently he was McQuaid's right-hand man, Archbishop McQuaid's right-hand man. A case came into them which was definitely what they call a crimen pessimum, which is something that should have been tried in the Vatican. My flesh and blood said, yes, it is a crimen pessimum, that's what should happen. And McQuaid said, no, Paddy or whatever, we're not going to do that, it'll cause scandal to the church. And in that moment was decided the fate of literally thousands and thousands of Irish children. And when I saw my own bit of DNA in that story, I just thought, well, it's very late in the day. Other people have tackled this, but this is time for me now to sort of try and make up in the halls of heaven for that conversation in the 60s.
You've said before you were quite nervous about the release of this book in particular.
I was terrified.
Yeah, and what the public reaction would be. Is there some sort of relief when the book is released and it's been received so well? And are you nervous about releasing all books, or just this one in particular due to the subject matter?
This one in particular. But all books have their worries attached to them, or plays. If you've written a play, maybe about 2 countrymen and they're still alive and you're worried they'll be upset with you, whatever. But this because this also was breaking a silence in me, it actually produced a terror in me that was very linked to childhood rather than being a 68-year-old person. In the days leading up to the first event in the Pavilion Theatre, I wasn't sleeping. I was incredibly worried because I didn't know what I'd produced, and I didn't know if it was just and accurate, and I didn't know if people would cope with it. And the moment I walked into the Pavilion Theatre and felt a kind of honey coming off the audience, and spoke about these matters, and spoke about the book, and spoke about Tom Kettle, that thing that we do have as Irish people, I mean, we have all sorts of possibly wicked qualities, but there is a quality in Irish people where when something is said that seems true, they don't just respond with sort of a nod of the head, they respond with a kind of tsunami of honey turned towards you.
Yeah.
And that gave me great courage. It's been difficult going around with the book because it has that strange, ancient quality for me of breaking a silence. But you know, I have my Ali Smith's tiger, so, and I have you lovely gentlemen, so I'm all right this morning.
Okay. Again, a 5th Booker Prize nomination. Does this feel as sweet, or is this even sweeter than all the others?
Well, that's well put. It is sweeter because, I mean, I get older, but this never gets old.
Yeah.
Because you're waiting for the day. If you're not on it, that's fine. You'll get over that pretty quickly. But if you are, it is a cause for joy. I mean, it is the circus with the, the strong man and the bearded lady stopping at the end of your lane and saying, hop on, you'll be on this truck now for a little while. And, eventually, possibly, they put you out in a dark country lane, you have to find your own way home. But until that happens, it is, it's the best fun you can have at 68.
And there are 5 Irish writers on the long list this year.
Yeah, there's 4.
Four?
Yes, the 2 Pauls, Paul Lynch, Paul Murray, and the amazing Elaine Feeney.
So what is it about us here in Ireland? We seem to do well in the world of literature, Sebastian, don't we?
Well, I wrote a very controversial play about Charles Haughey called Hinterland in 2002, for which I was being told to leave the country. But at the same time, Charles Haughey did put in place the most amazing things, like our tax-free status as Irish writers, Éistóna, which is, the refuge of many an Irish poet because it just gave you some money to live off. Irish poets were literally penniless. And in recent times, the Arts Council has got its act together in the most incredible way and really tries to hone in on people who need help, young geniuses, basically. And this recent trial run of basic wage for all artists is miraculous. And I hope they will enshrine that and make it available to all young artists. So that if you can show that you're a musician or you're a painter or you're a writer, you're not going to, basically be scared in your socks. Because being scared in your socks financially is not an inducement to do good art.
Not to encourage you to do your best at.
I'll tell you who else might be scared in their socks, and that's Sebastian's family.
Oh, yes.
Because most things that happen around your house or in your life can wind up in a book.
Yes.
So have they kind of put a block on you, Sebastian, saying, please, Dad, I know you found that funny, or I know you found that stressful. Please don't write about it.
Well, I dedicate my books to my babies, but I don't write about them. Except in very mutated terms. But actually, no, I better not say, because there's lawyers now and they might come onto me. To be sued by your child would be very painful. No, my family, especially the family I have made with Ali, in the last 30 years, are very understanding. They don't really pay too much heed to me, actually. And they don't read my books in the main, and it's just Dad, and that's fine, So that's good, You're just the old fella muttering in the corner, sure. God love him, But the previous family were also very enlightened. My mother was utterly fearless. I wrote a play about her mother, which was full of grief and scandal and all the rest of it. But she just delighted in all that, so I guess I was lucky in my family.
Okay, well, we feel very lucky that you took the time to talk to us.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It's been a joy.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Sebastian, great to see you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
And Sebastian's latest novel, Old God's Time, is available now in all good bookshops from today. And Sebastian himself said, and maybe
even in the bad ones.
Even in the bad ones, not so good, but it's everywhere.
Okay, up next, I can hear our studio crew already leaving. The cameraman's gone. They're heading towards the kitchen.
Sausage rolls?
Sausage rolls. The infamous sausage rolls.
I'll get you one.
Sure you will, yeah. That's why God gave him 2 hands.
Perfect coffee every time. Tassimo sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
Yes, welcome back. She's singing sausage rolls already. The number one breakfast food among Ireland AM viewers, to the extent that last time we cooked them, the hashtag went viral on Twitter.
It means a lot to us.
On X, as it is now.
Yeah,
on X.
Yeah, on X. Well, the time has come for another hashtag Sausage Roll Sunday, and Martin O'Donnell from Blackrock Cottage has brought the goods. We are very happy this morning, Martin.
To be here.
We're very happy. We've been asking him the recipe for this. So
you've been gatekeeping it.
I've been holding it.
But he's ready to share.
Number one with viewers, but also all the staff here. It's like getting mugs walking in the gate. You're here.
Okay.
Bunting, tape, everything. All right.
So let's get cracking.
Okay.
It is an easy enough recipe. So in this bowl, I have 500 grams of pork mince and 500 grams of sausage meat. Good quality, both of them, get the best you can. It'll come out in the flavour of the sausage rolls. I've got a little handful of whole grain mustard, so like 2 tablespoons, and that's it. And I've given it a really good mix.
Yeah.
Okay. If you can't get sausage meat, buy good sausages, cut the skin off. Same thing after all, yeah? So,
are you underlining the word good there?
Yeah, it really is important, because you'll just get all that flavour back in your sausage roll at the end.
Yeah.
So, okay, all right.
Pay peanuts, get monkeys. So in this bowl, I have some freshly chopped herbs, so parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme.
Okay.
Loads of it. You can't put too much of it. You just can't, because, again, the flavour will come back out through them.
It complements pork quite well, that rosemary, like those kind of, those green herbs.
And then, as you mentioned, the complement, we're going to add some apple, which is another pork complement, and onion. So we've just cooked 1 onion and 1 apple, chopped up, give or take the same size, and allowed to go cold.
Now, are these apples that you could buy in a tin, or have you soaked them, or are they just apples that...
Did you see his face when you said that? Apples that you buy in a tin.
You can buy apples in a tin.
He's like, I put my blood, sweat and tears in this.
I've grown them myself.
But are they eating apples or cooking apples?
Yeah.
Either or is fine.
All right.
Like, the cooking apple will be not as sweet, but again, whatever you have, because you're only looking for 1 apple.
And you have to soak it,
it's not a game changer. No. So what I did was 1 onion diced, and then the apple diced, and just cooked them down without colour, same. And the juices of the onions would come out and all back into your sausage roll.
Lovely.
So that's actually your meat done. Can be done in advance, can be done the day before, and it's quite easy. So that's the first thing. And then with our pastry, this is another game changer. So puff pastry is notoriously difficult. There's not many places, even in the restaurant industry, making it. This is a cheat version. So this one is 500 grams of butter, 500 grams of flour, and 500 grams of cream cheese. In a stand mixer with a paddle, let it go. 5 minutes, it's ready.
Okay.
And it can be used for tarts. It could be used like we're going to roll it with apple and then baked in the oven. It's really versatile, but it's so simple to do. Literally, put everything in, turn it on, done.
Okay, and so it's in that bowl for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Does it need to go into the fridge? Is there any resting time?
It can, but the great thing is you can just roll and go.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so we do turkey and ham Wellington in Blackrock at Christmas time, so it's absolutely delicious for that, instead of buying the just roll ready stuff.
Okay.
So we're going to roll it out.
So this one is a flat version of what you just showed us.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the paste made. It's in a ball. You can let it relax, and then you just want to, even with your hands at room temperature, you just want to flatten it out.
Yeah.
So you're getting down to the kind of depth of normal pastry.
Yeah.
Thick as a €2 coin. So just going to roll it out. It's quite simple. Again, it's so easy to roll. You can see there is some flecks of butter left in it, but that's okay, because that's just going to be flavour.
Oh, butter is flavour, isn't it?
Butter is life.
It's all about the flavour. So, just going to put back on the gloves again.
It's mad seeing him watch it, because we are absolutely obsessed with these sausage rolls, and every time you're on, like, they're gone in a second.
It's not like, what am I cooking today? It's like, did you bring them? Did you bring the sausage rolls? We don't really care what you're making, but... And there's a cue. So the gloves are really handy because the meat won't stick to it. And essentially, we're going to go this way. So we're just going to make that sausage shape first, without having these like indents or anything, without the gaps. It's just going to make a more uniform size sausage roll. The bigger you make them, the longer they're going to cook. So, and we try and keep them all the same size.
Yeah.
Not difficult, quite easy. Now, when these are rolled and cut, you can actually freeze them. So you could pop them in there. So you could make like a batch of, whatever it is. You could make 20 of them, whatever, and pop them in the freezer. And then we'll say the night before you want to use them, just take them out, pop them in the oven with a little bit of egg wash, and away you go. So it's it's not too hard either, Okay. So we're just going to get our pastry.
Now.
Oh yeah. Now this is the bit where I'd fall down.
Not at all. And you're just tucking it. You don't want an overflow of pastry. You don't want too much. And again, with your hand, You're going to make them look nice and even, and that's it. So
that's it.
That's it. Now I'm going to use the back of the knife.
You see, I'm looking at the rest of that patron going, that's not going to be wasted.
Oh, so it's just one, you roll it over once?
Only once, because you don't want an overflow of pastry. Now that, Martin, pastry, it's a great question. You actually start again and just re-roll it and keep going.
And go again? Okay.
Yeah. So, I haven't egg washed them to close because there's absolutely no need. Just using, again, the back of the knife as we're on the cooker top.
But even the pork sticks quite well, like even with the apple, with the onion.
Exactly.
You don't even need it.
So I've got a little tray here with some paper. Again, it's just going to make life easy. And you can see it's not too fragile. You can move it around. Just going to pinch the bottoms closed.
Yeah.
And that's it. So uniform in size. Again, how big or how small depends how much of a hurry you're in.
But the lovely thing is, it's more meat than pastry.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly, 100%. And it's homemade pastry. Again, you could make the pastry the day before, you could make the sausage meat the day before, and then roll them the next day with the kids. You could have them ready, you could have them in the freezer. So versatile.
So it was, in the pastry, it was butter, flour,
and cream cheese.
Cheese.
Yeah, equal quantities. So 250 grams, 250 grams, 250 grams. Make sure the butter is kind of room temperature-ish.
Yeah.
And then in it goes. So it'll just make it life easier on the mixing bowl. So we're just cutting them kind of into individual sizes. The last one, we'll cut off that little bit of excess pastry. Up it goes. We have a little egg wash here, so it's just one egg whisked. And we're just going to glaze them. This gives them a lovely colour, a lovely sheen, extra flavour.
Yeah.
So like the amount that we sell of these in Blackrock Cottage every day
almost at a time.
Is ridiculous.
They go into the oven for how long?
And I have a little bit of breadcrumbs, just sprinkling on top. So normal sourdough breadcrumbs.
You see?
Essential.
It's that little bit on top.
Yeah.
They go straight into the oven then. Just take off the gloves. Pop them in 180 degrees, 25 minutes. And then...
And here's some you made earlier.
Live TV. Here we have some that we prepared earlier. So we just put these ones in.
Let them
20
cool
minutes
before we chuck in.
100% they need to cool down. So actually, I have some ones here that we had just baked slightly earlier. So we give you one each, I think.
All right.
I love a little bit of salad leaf on it.
It's not finished.
I'm not finished.
And we have some chutney.
You know that, yeah.
What's in the chutney, real quick?
It's a tomato and apple and a little bit of spice chutney.
Okay.
Enjoy.
God bless you, sir. And
Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Famous sausage rolls.
You're a legend.
Okay, the secret has been revealed. All right, the secret of Fatima is coming next. All right, full recipe details are up on our website, or you can pop down to visit Martin and Blackrock Cottage, Salt Hill, Galway, and tell them that we sent you.
Up next, will Carrie and Aidan end up together for good? Oh, we'd all love to know. We're previewing the best of next week's telly right after this break.
Perfect coffee every time. Tassimo sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
You're like, no. Welcome back. One of our, okay, I'm reading this because it's in front of me, but I kind of disagree, but I'm going to read it. One of our favourite hate watches is coming to an end this week. But what will we do with our Carrie Bradshaw? Well, here we go. And the writers who've never clearly watched an episode of Sex in the City before taking on these beloved and iconic characters.
So it's not a guilty pleasure, it's just pleasure for
It's
you.
just pleasure.
Right, I love that. Killian O'Sullivan joins us with the best on the box this week. Good morning, Killian.
Good morning, folks.
Shall we talk Sex in the City?
Yeah, I'll let you take the lead on this.
You were just saying there to know, because I asked, do you watch and just like that?
Yeah, so, yeah, look, it's not for me. It was not going to be designed for me. It was never going to be a show that I'd love, but I have to include it because you can't ignore the cultural impact of Sex in the City. It ran for seasons. It's had movies. There is, like, so many memes and internet tropes referencing, are you a Samantha? Are you a... couldn't even name the other.
Gary.
I thought you said Gary.
I'm a Miranda. There's no Gary.
I'm a Gary.
You're a Gary.
I think I'm an Aiden. I might say.
You're an Aiden. I feel like you're an Aiden.
Killian's an Aiden.
Yeah. What about you?
I think I'd be a Samantha.
I'm Samantha.
Are you a Samantha?
Yeah, I'm
oh,
Samantha.
love it.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means?
It means you're.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't talk about that like that. I'm on catch up. I still have 2. So this week it's the final. So there's 2 episodes in the last episode.
Yeah. So this is it. It's kind of building up to the big finale. Yeah. There was talk initially of season 3, but then now with all the strikes that are happening in Los Angeles, the actors and writers on strike, there's a big question mark over that. What we are looking forward to, fans of Sex and the City are looking forward to seeing in the season finale, is the return
Samantha Jones.
And now, is it true that they are not going to appear in a scene together?
That is true.
What are we going to see?
She wouldn't. She refused to come back in the show and be on the same, be in the same space as Sarah Jessica Parker, because whatever happened between them,
I'd love to be a fly on the wall.
So the compromise was she would do a phone call. So obviously they're not even like having to like talk to each other directly. It's all done through movie magic. But she gets that payday.
Now you're on about season 3. I think the last episode is called The Last Supper. You got Samantha coming back. Is she selling, you know, the original Sex and City apartment? Is she getting back with Aidan? It feels like this could be the fitting end.
Yeah, but like, how many times have they said that about this show?
I know.
If there's money to be made in a show like this, now the ratings haven't been as hot for this season.
What are the ratings for a show like that? Do we know? Like,
we see, it's hard to tell because
HBO. It's not called Max.
It's on HBO Max, so the streamers are very secretive with their streaming figures, which actually is part of the reason of the strike that's going on at the moment, because they're not releasing the streaming figures. Therefore, they don't know how to adequately compensate the actors for their royalties.
Yeah.
Because all the streamers are like, oh yeah, millions of people watch this, but they don't have to show anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the final is this week, the last episode. Check it out. We're obsessed. Now, theatre camp.
This movie hits cinemas on Friday. This looks fun. It's shot in the style of like the UK Office, the kind of mockumentary style, like a documentary, which I think allows the camera person to be in another character, another tool to get a laugh or a joke out of it. This is about a theatre camp that is quite, you know, it's kind of a scrappy little theatre camp, but it's responsible for a lot of very talented kids coming up, and they're on the verge of closing and they need to pull something special out of the bag in order to be able to keep the doors open. And this was met with huge, like at Cannes when it premiered, it had 2 standing ovations.
Oh, wow.
It's like very well received.
And this premiered at Sundance.
Oh, Sundance, sorry, you're right, Sundance.
Yeah.
So it's been very well received. Critics seem to love it, so we'll see what the audience say when it hits cinemas. But this just looks like a bit of crack.
And you know, clip we showed looks really funny with all the kids performing.
And you're seeing a lot of like rising talent. Like you've got Molly Gordon, who was in The Bear, Ao Edebiri, who was also in The Bear. So these are a lot of faces we've been seeing as up and coming.
Yeah,
TV
a lot of future stars are in there now. We're going to kind of get to see them kind of come up through the ranks. But yeah, that just looks like it's going to be a little bit of crack.
So that's this Friday in Irish cinemas.
Yes.
Now, next we have You Are So Not Invited to My Bar Mitzvah. That's on Netflix this Friday.
This is a part of Adam Sandler's bigger deal he's done with Netflix.
He is rich, by the way.
Rich.
A powerhouse. That man, he's quite Marmite. He is quite divisive. Some people love him, some people don't really like him. Some of his style of comedy in the movies is a little bit kind of silly voices and stupid characters. That's not what this movie is like at all. He's taken a bit of a direction since Uncut Gems and since he signed that $250 million deal with Netflix.
Such a basic deal, right?
And it's like your deal, right?
Get this, though. Yeah, it's just average, yeah. Well, his 2 daughters are actually the stars of this show.
This is it. Sunny take one of the female leads in this show, and they're great by all accounts. They think they've got they've got the family chops. And you're also seeing, obviously, Adam Sandler plays the father, and then their biological mother plays a mother of one of the kids in the show.
It really is a family affair.
I know.
Yes.
And Idina Menzel, who already played his wife in Uncut Gems, is playing his wife again.
Playing the wife again.
I love it.
There's a real kind of family unit. I think Adam Sandler, by all accounts, is one of the soundest men in showbiz, and I think the fact that he likes to work with a lot of the same people, and now he's bringing his kids into the industry. It does look like a bit of crack. It's a real coming of age kind of a story told through the perspective of teenage girls who are planning their best friends forever, and they're going to live together in an apartment when they grow old. But a boy comes into play.
Oh, and that is Netflix this Friday. Yeah. Now on to the next. I think this would be a show for Elaine. Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
she's obsessed with stuff like this.
She's a Trekkie by heart, but in that kind of sci-fi world, I think she will be into this. This again is just another extension of the Star Wars world.
Like a spin-off.
Basically. So ever since Lucasfilm sold Star Wars to Disney, Disney have been recouping their $4 billion investment, and they've done so since. But they're making an awful lot of spin-offs in every sort of direction you can imagine. The Mandalorian was a huge success for them, and although that was set kind of Star Wars adjacent in that we didn't see a lot of the main Star Wars characters, this is bringing it back more to Jedis out there. This is more in the Star Wars world, and this is really interesting to see that it's more of a female-led series. So where obviously traditionally a lot of TV shows would be male-led, this series is doing what Disney have seemed to be doing a lot recently, is that they're giving those kind of female parts to drive the show, and this looks like a cracker.
Yeah. Now let's give a quick mention to this show, Long Lost Family, Born Without a Trace. It's hosted by Davina McCall and Nikki Campbell. I love this show.
Yeah, running for years. This is a real tearjerker. This is an emotional one. This is kind of, for me, a sign that winter's coming, because these series tend to come into play in the winter months when you're getting cozy and you're there with your cup of tea, and
but
all of a sudden you're
sometimes
crying.
It's happy tears.
Well, it is. This is ultimately because it's about, you know, bringing families together and getting answers to questions that some people have lived with their whole lives. So they are happy tears, but it's an emotional roller coaster nevertheless.
And this latest episode is more Irish-centric.
But this is it. It's usually quite UK-focused, but it is nice to see that it's stretching across the water to us a little bit, so it's kind of drawing us in that way. And again, these shows are just hits. This has been running for about 10, 11 years now, and you can see why.
Yeah.
It's been on that
because
long.
it's one of those shows that you might just stick on, but then you end up really sitting down, getting a cup of tea, getting invested in the story. So
and I always think
brilliant.
people that do the show are very, very brave. Especially the parents. To come out and tell their story. And that's Born Without a Trace, Virgin Media 1, Thursday at 10 p.m. A joy as always.
Thank you.
He knows his telly, he knows his movies, he knows it all.
A pleasure as always.
Thanks,
now, earlier we made some delicious homemade sausage rolls. Here's how you can copy us at home.
Bet they were nice, really nice.
Combine your ingredients in a mixer bowl until the dough looks smooth. Then roll them out to be 3 centimetres thick. Shape the sausage by hand and then place on the pastry, rolling over the edges and squeezing it closed. Cut the sausage rolls into small slices and bake until the meat has reached 75 degrees Celsius on your meat thermometer. Leave to cool and then enjoy. And they are gorgeous, those sausages.
I've not had one yet.
And there's some chutney if you're looking as well.
61, yes. Coming up on Ireland AM tomorrow, broadcaster Eileen Dunn is joining us for a look back on famous friendships and a celebrated career.
Kiwi rugby pundit and all-round good egg Brent Pope tells us why he's painting elephants to help people's mental health.
Plus, we've news, sport and weather. That is Ireland AM and it's live from 7.
We've got to say happy birthday to somebody, and that is to Bernie. She's celebrating a big birthday. There she is.
Oh, look at that Portstar martini in the hand.
70
She
where?
is officially a 70s girl from today.
She looks fabulous.
Okay, anyway, your 4 children and grandchildren are going to spoil you rotten. We know that she watches the show every day, so thank you for that. It's like penance.
Yes.
This is what she's told in church.
Birthdays to you.
Happy birthday, Bernie.
Particularly by children living at home. One in from Michelle. So sad for young people that they can't grow up and move out. It's going to ruin their generation, which is true.
Yes.
It really will.
Nora says adults living at home should be paying rent. I'd say they probably already do.
In a lot of cases, they don't.
Really?
Yeah, it was a thing that you had to hand up. Your house
at school and was working, give them £20 a week.
Something. Contribute to gas. Even.
And you know what? It did help with budgeting.
Yeah.
It did help children to budget as well. Joan says, I've 2 living at home, 27 and 30 years old. They're driving me mad. I feel like throwing them in a shed in the back garden.
Well,
all right, Joan.
Tell us what you really think, Joan.
Don't hold back there, love.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of your
Thanks.
Sunday.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.